Hello, and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We want to take a look at the daily chart. We didn't do that yesterday, actually. So for anybody who's new on the channel, please be aware that Bitcoin is approaching a topping region. That doesn't mean we have topped, and also I'm not predicting a top. I'm simply highlighting where the top formation is likely so that you can prepare. Best to have a plan. Doesn't mean you have to sell yet. It doesn't mean you have to panic yet. It just means be prepared, right? Be prepared. In our last 2 to 3 member live streams, we covered the topic in depth, but whenever we cover the daily time frame here on this channel or even the weekly chart, I mention the topic because from a macro point of view, I am interested in where is risk high, where is risk low. And, you know, at the moment, risk is getting high for Bitcoin. Again, I don't think the top has formed yet. And I think Bitcoin could move up another maybe 30%, 40% before a top is in, but don't forget that Bitcoin started at around 15.5K. So most of that rally is done. Could Bitcoin extend above 130K? Do I say that's the maximum? No, of course not. I mean, I've highlighted many times before that there is another wave count that I'm exploring, which I have in the background, where once this has topped actually and completed the wave count, there could be a case for another 4-5 pattern and an extension even to 200K. But either way, this here would be a significant top. And even if we get another 4-5 pattern, which means a larger correction and a high, that correction is likely going to be quite massive. And I would treat it as a top has formed until I see that Bitcoin forms another higher low. So just something to be aware of. And also, please note, a lot of you might not know that in the last bull markets, Bitcoin has often formed the top, or has at least done it before a few times actually, also in significant tops, not necessarily cycle tops, that a last 4-5 pattern just hasn't happened. Now, if that means the extended 4-5 doesn't happen, or one of these 4-5s that we have on the chart, I don't know. It is impossible to call a top until we have some further evidence for it. And therefore, it takes a break of critical support levels, let's say, to call a top. I mentioned it before, in 2021, it was quite straightforward for me to call a top because the patterns were quite clear. And I could do it at around 58K. A lot of you who've been with MCO for a while actually know that. I could do that, and that was up here, very, very close to a major top that I highlighted below 30K is coming. And I could do that because Elliott Wave is an emotionless analysis method, right? Where a lot of people, a lot of analysts as well, were swayed by the bullish sentiment. Elliott Wave allowed me to confirm, and there was actually no bullish alternative at the time, and a lot of you will remember that we're going into a bear market. Now, structure this point is a little bit different than it was back then. It's a bit more tricky. Therefore, it won't be, I think it was like a 15% decline, which is nothing really in crypto when we could confirm a bear market is starting. It's going to be different this time probably. The structure is different, the extensions are different, the moves have been, it's just a different cycle, and it might need more than a 15% drop to confirm that, let's say, either a bear market or a large correction is unfolding. That is why I have been so clear about where a top could form, that I'm not expecting it yet, but that we shouldn't be surprised at this stage if support levels break, because we are in that topping region. But I've been quite clear that I expect it in Q1. Okay, so that's really as precise as we can be at the moment. If you have further questions about that, you can always check out our previous member live streams. The recordings are still available. I made these specifically, covering the topics of like the current market conditions and so on to discuss it. I know it all takes time, right? I know that also not all members always watch all the live streams. But that's what they are for. And, I can only provide the content, or you have to consume it. And I can't do more than that, right? I can only warn. And you can see how quickly the altcoins are catching up as well. People were concerned that, oh man, I've been highlighting this about Q1 now for the last few weeks, and that I still expect an altcoin rally, right, across the sector, because the charts were still suggesting a lot of bullish scenarios, short term at least. And then people were asking me, that's not possible if in Q1, we're going to see a top. Well, you see, just look at HBAR. I mean, it just needs a few weeks for these coins to catch up. and do what Bitcoin did over the last couple of years, So don't, anything is possible. And then once Bitcoin forms a top, though, I think they're all gonna follow, right? But we talked about that. So bottom line is, I'm expecting a little bit more upside. On the daily chart, that could materialize as a 4-5 pattern, for the last couple of weeks or so. We've been talking about the potential, that the next wave 4 could start. I mean, maybe it started. Maybe we're gonna move in a sideways correction. I mean, this wave 4, with support around 78 to 86K, roughly, could also turn into a triangle. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to touch support. I mean, it could just turn into a sideways correction. I mean, we are in a correction, right? We are, Bitcoin is correcting. Doesn't always mean it has to be a sharp pullback. It could also be a sideways correction for a while. So we seem to be correcting. I mean, looking at the Bitcoin chart, we are currently testing that support area again on the smaller time frame. This is all about two scenarios. So either we are pulling back in that larger wave 4 already. I just showed you on the daily chart with next support around 86 or 85.5K, then 81.6K, this area here for a larger wave 4. But it takes a break below the upper micro support region, so below 92,400 roughly, to confirm that we have started that correction actually. I mean, let's say, just double check something. I think I shifted support slightly. There's just not a great setup here at the moment. I mean, from a short trade point of view anyway, not. So I think we can all lean back and see if support breaks, and then it would be further confirmation that this wave 4 has started. From a long trade point of view, I mean, maybe, but the altcoins are just much more explosive at the moment. When Bitcoin Bitcoin keeps this 1-2 setup we're tracking, in the blue scenario alive. So what is that for? That suggests that obviously from this swing low here on Tuesday, the 26th of November, that we have a possible 5-wave move up and a corrective pullback. So 5 waves up always keeps the door open for higher. 5 up keeps the door open for higher. The 3-wave corrective pullback is, let's say the 3-wave corrective pullback also keeps the door open for higher, because we have a lot of overlap there. And we're still holding above support. So if that plays out, it could take us to 110K. But it can take a while. I mean, Bitcoin is in a consolidation phase. I think that's quite good for the altcoins. As long as we are moving sideways, I mean, it could just move sideways for a few more weeks even. I think that would be good, actually. Bitcoin doesn't necessarily need to move much higher directly. The altcoins are catching up. I think altcoins are having a party as long as Bitcoin is moving in this sideways range. So I don't mind if it just grinds sideways for a bit, but I think levels are clear. There isn't really an awful lot that the analysis can, in addition to what we already talked about, can provide now. There's not additional clarity that is coming in. There's no price data that's a game changer or anything. So if anything changes, I will let you know. I keep you updated. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. If you are interested in the membership, you can check out the explainer video on our membership page, which tells you everything about the memberships. As a YouTube member, as a supporter member, you can access our Sunday live streams and member-only videos. There will be another one today covering a couple of coins. And as a gold member, you can actually connect to Discord for much additional content, including additional coin updates, Tradingview live charts, chat room access, short-term updates, and lots of learning material about Elliott Wave and trading as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.